What's happening, y'all? What's going on Instagram? What's happening YouTube? How's everybody feeling this afternoon? It's your relationship coach, Clarence Brown. Just wanted to check in with y'all this afternoon, man, and drop a quick line, drop a quick little topic, a word for you. Let's see, man. For those that don't know who I am, if you're new to my page, if you're new to Mail Translations, it's just a podcast that I host. My name is Clarence Brown. I'm a certified relationship coach. I am a speaker and author and host of the Mail Translations podcast. What I do is I help men, I help women bridge the gap of understanding and communication, and overall help you improve your dating experiences. All right. So, wanted to get into a quick topic tonight, man. What's in the way of finding love? Are you prepared to love? A lot of people right now are out in the dating scene. There's so many people that feel like, hey, I'm single, but not for long. I don't wish to stay in this position. But at the same time, I don't really see quality out there. I don't really see somebody that's worth my time, worth my efforts, and all of that. So, the question becomes, hey, if someone of quality comes my way, am I prepared to actually love? Am I prepared to actually be a facilitator of love and actually a receiver of love as well? So wanted to kind of touch on a few points because there are a lot of people that I speak to on a day-to-day basis that may overlook some of the things that get in the way of holding on to somebody that's quality or being able to decipher if you have somebody that's quality or not. And so I wanted to kind of break down some of the things that I speak to when it comes to dealing with some of my clients, and also just kind of overall my own experiences and some of the things that I see on a personal and a professional level. And so the question I oftentimes have for people who are single, who are still in the dating scene right now, that are trying to kind of navigate their way through that. What's going on, Jeff? I see you, bro. And trying to navigate through that space. Trying to find out if you yourself are in position or have positioned yourself to cater to and also be able to understand who you're dealing with when it comes to dating. And with all that being said, the question becomes, am I prepared? Right. A lot of times, they say in sports, hey, if you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. Ain't that true? So with that being said, a lot of times we don't recognize how that applies to dating and being in relationships as well. A lot of times along the way, when you actually are with somebody, you don't recognize some of the bad habits you pick up. But it's easy to spot some of the bad habits somebody else has, but oftentimes hard to see some of the bad habits we pick up along the way. Some of the bad mentalities, some of the things that are habits that contradict what we say we want in relationships. All of the above, right? And so more times, people feel like, oh, women are the only ones that need to receive this message. But there are plenty of men that also, have to look within themselves like I did. Like I know a lot of guys, maybe like Jeff as well, who kind of, more introspective and kind of hold themselves accountable, more than everybody else. And, people say, hey, we are our worst critics. So a lot of the times you're expected to be able to hold yourself accountable and look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, these are some of my flaws. But I want to talk about some of the things that people overlook when it comes to being prepared to actually find somebody and hold on to them, right? And so here's one of the notions that you hear a lot from people, especially those that have been single for a long time. And me, especially as well, being a professional relationship coach and being in that space, a lot of times you hear this statement from people that you have to question. And the statement is, hey, you know what? I took time to myself. So I've healed. I took time to heal because I took time to myself. And those two things are completely different. What's going on, Wisdom Chick? What's happening? I see you, Coach Latanya. So me and you, Coach Latanya, have actually spoken about this point where a lot of people feel like, hey, I spent 2 years out of the dating market, off the dating scene. I've been focusing on myself. So therefore, now that I feel like I'm in a good place, I feel like I'm clarity of mind, and I feel like I'm focused. I know what my goals are. I know what I want out of life and out of relationship. I'm healed. I'm ready to go. But there's a lot more to it than actually just focusing your mind on the goal and objective and accomplishing things and acquiring different things and then calling that healing. Because healing actually means addressing the issues that you had with the situation or with a person that you dealt with prior to you deciding to take a path and move in a direction toward the goals that you accomplished, right? And so now when you sit down with somebody like myself, who actually is whose job is to peel back some of those layers and kind of see what's really beyond the surface and what may be in the way of some of the things that you wish to have when it comes to relationships and personal relationships and marriage and things like that. Now we begin to see that wasn't actually always the most beneficial when it came to you just looking at yourself and saying, I'm moving in this direction. Because even before, think about it, if you get stopped along a journey, if a tire goes out, when you change that tire, you still have to make sure everything is in working order and address everything from the PSI to making sure the screws and bolts are in tight. You got to make sure that you have the lug nut and the proper tools to actually, change the tire and put the spare on. So you really have to assess that problem in its entirety before you move on, before it's safe for you to move on. But a lot of times in our lives, we just look at things and say, okay, well, everything looks to be right, and we're just gonna put some tape and some nails on it, and and Negro rig it, and all of a sudden now we back in working order, only to break down a few miles down the road, right? So if you can get that analogy, that's kind of some of the ways that we operate when it comes to not addressing the issues and just thinking, hey, listen, if I stood on the side of the road long enough, then that must mean my issue is fixed. And that's not the case. You got to truly address it and actually understand what's actually working, what's not working, what things need to be changed, what need to be adjusted before you actually get back going towards your path, and actually knowing which path you're trying to take down the line instead of changing your route, as you get further and further toward your destination. This happens a lot. So taking the time to yourself isn't the same as taking time to heal. This is something that a therapist, a coach, a counselor will be able to help you understand, because it ultimately comes down a lot to this, because we, especially in the Black community, we just think, hey, if I haven't dated in 2 years or 3 years, it was my choice. So therefore, because I've taken that time off and took a time to rest, take myself off the market, now all of a sudden I'm just ready. Right. Let me see. Coach Latanya said, many don't know what they need to be healed from. That's a great point. That's a great point. And a lot of times it takes a third party. It takes somebody unbiased, takes somebody that's objective, be able to look at your situation and really truly tell you what it is. But also you need somebody that is a specialist to be able to break down solutions for you to be able to help you, because they're not always going to be just coming from your mom or your aunt. They might be able to tell you who you are and what's wrong with you, but they may not be able to tell you what you need to do to fix your issue and how that may be congruent with your goals relation wise. Right. So let's get back into it. Are you prepared? This is a question. Are you prepared to actually love somebody? Right? Everybody, if I ask that question to 10 out of 10 people, I bet 10 out of 10 will say yes. Why? Because most people think, of course I am, without actually understanding what it takes to love somebody properly. Everybody knows what it takes to be loved properly, but oftentimes we don't understand what it takes to love somebody properly. And one of the major things is you can't tell somebody how they should be loved. I'm going to say that again. You can't tell somebody how they should be loved. I know somebody out there that felt like, hey, listen, I felt like I wanted to be, my love language is this. I felt like the way I needed to be loved and treated was this. But yet another person wanted to tell me I was wrong for having those expectations or having that, individual way that I felt like I needed to be handled and dealt with. Right. Well, tell them what I just told you. You can't tell somebody how they should be loved. So what you need to do, what's better for you, is to understand what they need from you and see and determine if that's something that you're able to hold up to and measure up to. Because if you're not, then you're wasting that person's time. But with whatever they feel like their needs are when it comes to being loved, you have to listen and understand and be willing to make those things happen. If not, you're not prepared. You're not prepared. It's at least not to love them. That's not to say that but again, you may run into the same problem if you're not aware of the fact that, hey, you can't tell somebody how they should be loved. You have to figure out how they like to be loved and understand and determine if you're able to do that. All right. So here's the next thing. A lot of the times when it comes to the sessions that I have with singles, I'm breaking down pretty much 3 things that I hear a lot and deal with a lot when it comes to single folks trying to figure out where they fit in when it comes to relationships, right? And so as a dating coach, this is something that, it could be on a day-to-day basis. I get them at least once a week. All right. So here's the next thing, right? Let me just break this down. I got some folks on YouTube as well. Appreciate y'all love and support. So here's the thing, right? This happens a lot with women. All right. And women, I got to call y'all out. I know, this is one of the spaces that's dicey for a male relationship coach, because when you speak about women, a lot of times you get flack for it, as if you don't hold. I hold men accountable just as well. But I'm going to highlight y'all just for a quick second, right? This prove it first dating, right? Prove it first dating. And I'm going to do a topic on this actually, because this is something that I think, it crosses the board when it comes to men and women, but I deal with it in higher percentages when it comes to women and higher numbers when it comes to women. What I mean by prove it first dating, and a lot of y'all ladies probably already know before I can say it, and that is this. When this is the statement behind it: show your worth, my time, and then I'll do my part. All right, show your worth and show your worth my time. Once I see that you actually worth my time, then I'll do my part. All right. This is a big key to the issues men have with women. I'm creating a online course right now to help women attract quality men, breaking down the tips and tricks and insights that I got from 200 men that I've interviewed over the last year to build this course and help women and create a solution for women to be able to attract the quality men. But this prove it first dating is something men have told me it just don't work for them, especially if they're a quality guy. And they say, hey, women always feel like their time is so valuable, don't recognize how valuable a quality man's time is. And how if a man has goals and he's trying to live up to a standard of life and be a provider, be a leader in his own life, let alone someone else's life, he understands that he got to be able to keep his feet to the pavement. And he got to grind as well. And a lot of men feel like women don't understand this because it's all about them being proved to first. The man has to prove it first, prove he's worth her time, prove he's worth her changing and adjusting her schedule for him. All of these things. Once he's proved it, then she'll do her part. Right. And a lot of women that I speak to, here's the issue. I understand this is from what women have told me. And ladies, y'all can let me know if it's true, if it's your testimony, if it's something that you deal with or not. Right. But a lot of women feel like, hey, well, I'm not going to invest into something that's not invested into me. And so if a man is not proving that he truly wants to be with me, and if he truly wants me and showing me through effort that I'm the one he's desiring, then I'm not going to change my life for something that may be here today, gone tomorrow. So I hear that and I say that's perfectly understandable. Actually make a lot of sense, right? You don't want to invest in something until you know that it actually is worth making the investment in. Just like the stock market, I'm not just going to put my money anywhere. I'm not just going to put it on Tide stocks and Tide. I'm not. I got to know how the numbers. I understand. That makes a whole lot of sense. But at the same time, you got to recognize who you say you want and what it is that they want. So when I spoke earlier, when I said that, hey, you got to find out what it is that a person wants, and you can't tell a person how they want to be loved, how they should be loved, Then now here's the same thing. A person is looking at it resentful and saying, hey, listen, it seems like I have the most pressure on me. You're looking at me to meet all these marks. You could drop me at any time. Anything I could do or say could be a red flag to where all of a sudden now I'm not worthy of your time. And all of a sudden I'm a trash person. But yet, once I prove it, then you start to show your part. Well, what if it takes too long for me to prove? What's the time frame? A lot of times these things go unsaid and it's very unclear. It's very nebulous, and people are expecting the other person to be exclusive while they're not exclusive, and not give that person a time frame to say, hey, well, let me be who I truly am. Let me show you who I truly am. It's more of a wait and see, right? And so think about it, where a person, if you hold that mirror to your face, and you would you want somebody that's saying, hey, listen, show me through sex, through time, through effort, through you cooking, through you, going out of your way to show, sending gifts, all of this, show me all of that just to get a response. A lot of you wouldn't take that deal. You wouldn't that deal down for nothing. Nah, you like, cut, don't even stick your hand out. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? But yet this is the mindset of people who have not been in the place of being prepared for love. So when you actually are still dealing with things that, even though you might have taken a year off, you took a sabbatical, you took some time away from dating, doesn't mean that you actually healed. You just took some time off. That's just the bottom line. You just said to yourself, well, since I'm out of the dating game, that must mean that since maybe I got a degree in that time, or maybe, hey, listen, I bought a house in that time, that means I'm healed. That does not mean you healed just because, hey, you bought a new car, you upgraded your car, or hey, you got a house in your own name, or you just got a degree, and you just like, that does not mean you healed. That means you accomplished some things, that there was some growth there, but that doesn't mean that you actually healed from the situations when it comes to relationships. And now when you meet somebody, now because you acquired these things, you make your standard higher and harder for a person to date you because they got to meet a higher standard. And all of a sudden now you've shortened and shrunk your dating pool. But yet you didn't recognize that because you hadn't yet healed. Because had you healed, right? Had you healed, then you would be able to say, okay, well, even though I have all of these things, these don't make me a great person. So I'm not going to look at these material things to validate somebody else as a great person. The same quality of morals and values and honor a person that I wanted in my life should have before I acquired these things. Those are the same things that I want after I've acquired those things, because those are the most important things to me. So this is what I'm talking about. I'm going to move on, right? Because I spent too much time on that. This is the third thing. And a lot of the times this dealing with men. So ladies, I want you to at least give me my just due. You know what I'm saying? I don't spoke about y'all, I don't speak about the fellas, and it really is both. But I think a lot of times we get held, we get laid over for this because this is kind of how we operate. And this is having that microwave dating mindset, right? And so a lot of single fellas, we want it quick. We want what we want, and we not trying to wait. So waiting sometimes is where you have a lot of women pressed because they're like, man, listen, the guy seems like a great guy. We have a great connection. I don't want to lose what we have. We seem to have a high level of chemistry. We vibing on certain things, but yet the problem seems to be that he's moving a little bit too fast, right? Or you'll have a man that feels like, or a woman is wanting commitment too fast. Right. And so this microwave dating where you put the cart before the horse, before you actually say, okay, well, before we know each other more deeply, I'm like, listen, I'm ready to go. I know what I want. I know where I'm going in my life. I know what I want in my relationship. Like, you wasting time. Like, come on, let's get this going. Like, and because it's not moving in the time frame that you want, then all of a sudden you feel like it's the relationship is not worth it. This is why a lot of relationship coaches get the question of, how long should I wait until ... How long should I wait before ... Like, come on, like, we've been together off and on, but like, I feel like we in a good place. So how long, Clarence, should I wait for ... Right? And so this is where that microwave dating come back into place. And what that is just you wanting the finished product right away with no work and no effort. Like I said, I know women be like, hey, listen, a lot of, and it go on both sides. Men get the bad rap for the microwave dating, expecting things faster, and that finished product, I want it to be just cooking, like grandma's home cooking, but yet I want it in 30 seconds. Right. And that real love don't happen like that. It takes some time, it takes some effort, it takes some work, it takes some seasoning, it takes some rebasting, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of the times that's what makes that relationship, that our relationship goals, that's what makes that. You see what I'm saying? Give me 1 second. Let me plug this up. Ugh. Plug this right on in so we can keep on going, because I got a couple of things. So that's the issue right there when it comes to people being prepared for love. But here's the thing, right? When you going through all of these things, when you're dealing with the fact that you didn't take time to heal, or you didn't, you have this prove it first dating mindset, or you're a person that, hey, like, listen, I want this finished product. I want it to be piping hot and good, but yeah, at the same time, man, I ain't trying to wait all day, man. Ain't nobody got time for that. What happened? You get triggered a lot of the time. These are some of the symptoms. What happens is, behind these different mindsets, behind these different outlooks on dating, a lot of times we are not prepared for love, because what happens is something happens in the relationship and you get triggered. You get triggered too easily. You see what I'm saying? Some of the things that you say that you've healed from, you never really dealt with. It's just that you've moved on in your life, right? You acquired new things. You might have had a child. You might have bought a house. You might have, like I said, you bought a car. You done got a degree. You know what I'm saying? So you done things in your life that to acquire things and to build your status, but yet you haven't actually dealt with issues. You haven't actually dealt with some of the pain. You just actually you suppress it. That's what the word is. You suppress it. That's exactly what we all do. Then when we start watching TV shows when we're alone by ourselves, I've been there, so I can speak to it. I know you watching these things and like, man, you know what? When is my time gonna happen? When I want somebody like that. You start pointing out people who got the qualities in the TV shows and the series that you watching, and even in your own life, or maybe family members that you know have a relationship you wish to have. You say, man, I want somebody got those qualities. I want somebody like that. But at the same time, you haven't addressed those issues. You just suppress them. And so this is where, like I said, you take time to yourself, but you don't take time to heal, because a lot of times that shame, that guilt, that pressure you feel like you need to change, and that mirror being pushed in your face for you to actually see some of your flaws and address them, that's not something that you want. And so, getting triggered is the biggest thing. Getting triggered. I was triggered. This triggered me. Well, I was triggered, Clarence, right? This happened. I hear this all the time when it comes to relationships, when it comes to being a relationship coach. I was triggered. Getting triggered is one of the biggest things that self-sabotages relationships and cuts the legs before they actually get going and growing. You know what I'm saying? You can't date effectively because you have unresolved trauma. And when it comes to these past situationships, a lot of the times, especially ladies, you are dealing with trauma that's untreated. It's unresolved, but yet in your mind, you feel like, you know what, I'm gonna just keep pushing, keep carrying on, because those are the signs of being strong. And a lot of the time, they ain't got nothing to do with it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, example, I play basketball a lot. If I turn my ankle, I need to go get it looked at. Like, that's it. No matter how much I feel like whatever, that I still need, if it lingers on and I'm not getting the results, I'm not recovering like I'm supposed to, then I'm going to need to get somebody to look at my ankle, look at my ailment. You see what I'm saying? And so I think a lot of times, ladies, especially, and men to even a higher degree, it's untreated trauma that you deal with that makes you unprepared to love. And a lot of times you get back out there because you just want to be out there and experience the feeling of companionship. But yet when something happens, you get triggered, and all of a sudden everything, you don't want nobody to waste your time, but yet you're wasting time because you haven't actually addressed your issues. When you get in a relationship, now all of a sudden it's like, well, I got triggered, Clarence, because I've dealt with trauma. Well, are you working on that? Or are you speaking with somebody? Are you working through that, the issues that you have? I think a lot of times we make this statement, I know what my issues are. This is the biggest thing that you hear when it comes to being a relationship coach and just in any relationship space. Well, I know I have issues to fix. That is almost like a covering over the issues that you haven't treated. That's the biggest. As you'll see, you watch live, you watch TV shows, you watch people say all the time, what's going on, Deja? You see people say all the time, well, I know I have issues that I need to work on. That's great. That's awesome. And you feel like, hey, listen, well, that just was she just said, or he just said he had issues that he needs to work on. She knows she got issues she needs to work on. So therefore, let's move on and focus back on the trauma that's untreated, because he just stated that he knows he had things to work on, and he knows that this thing he hasn't yet dealt with, it's just still, lingering, right? No, that's not, no, you don't get no credit for speaking to untreated trauma. You don't get credit just because you say, hey, I'm dealing with this and I've gone through a lot, but yet you haven't dealt with those issues. You haven't spoke to nobody. You haven't actually, tried to recover from those issues so you can be stronger moving forward. Get that out of your mind. Stop, putting your mind ahead of things and overanalyzing things through actually these tainted glasses that you looking through, because all of a sudden that trauma, you looking through traumatic glasses. And all of a sudden now, when you get in a relationship, those traumatic glasses don't allow you to see properly, effectively, and really see things for what they are. And that's why you get triggered. That's why when things happen, you state, oh, well, listen, I've been through a lot. Yeah, you've been through a lot, but yet nobody should be giving you credit for going through a lot and being able to just exist. Like, if you want a person to actually love you properly, they're going to have to deal with their issues in order to be able to see you for who you truly are and value for who you really are. And so in order for them to do that, they have to deal with that. And you won't settle for somebody who hasn't dealt with their own trauma. That's just the bottom line. I don't, if I speak to a man and say, hey, man, you willing to deal with somebody who's still dealing with the issues, still hurt and still battling issues on the inside, they're attractive, but yet, that you can't trust if they're going to be stable mentally. I don't know too many guys that would take that. That's too unpredictable. If I ask that to a woman and say, "Hey, listen, this guy right here, he's going through a lot, man. He's hasn't dealt with his issues, but yeah, he's handsome and he's muscular and he looks good and he's got a decent job, but yeah, I don't know if he's stable mentally." But would you take that deal? I'm gonna venture to say most sisters wouldn't take that deal. And the reason being because you need somebody who actually worked through it. Forget how they look, forget what their credit score is, forget, how tall they are, and if they got muscles and pecs and can do that little Terry Crews thing with forget all of that. You're looking for somebody that you can actually trust and you can respect and you can honor and make sure that they're not bringing no trauma into your life. Who want that? Right? All right, and then here's the thing. Like I said earlier, you don't see value because you're seeing through hurt glasses. You're seeing through traumatic glasses. Have you ever heard? Have you ever had somebody? And you talking about a relationship, and you talking about something somebody else dealt with. It might not have had nothing to do with them, but all of a sudden it just seemed like everything they say is negative. You can't get a positive word out of their mouth. All of a sudden, when it comes to a specific person, it's almost like this person trash and another person, and they all trash. And you hear a lot of that. That's because that person is viewing and looking through hurt glasses and traumatic lenses. There's both men and women deal with this. You know what I'm saying? There's guys that think like, hey, man, women ain't about nothing, man. You can't trust these HOs out here, man. Whatever, man. I'm going to get my money. I'm doing me. Ain't nobody going to lock me. But yet, steady out here dating. Steady out here looking for women. But yet, you think so low of a woman, but yet you out here looking for them and chasing them down. That don't make no sense to me. And so it goes back and forth. You have it on both sides where we looking through these traumatic glasses. And what happens is you have this untreated trauma, like I said before, that you don't deal with. And yet you just feel like I'm good and act like it don't affect no parts of your life. Like that makes no sense. Right? You can have somebody cut you off and then throw your whole day off. You mean to tell me that you looking through relationship glasses in a hurt view doesn't affect how you view the opposite sex? Like, let's be honest. It does matter. And so oftentimes, like I said before, these things we don't look at, we don't consider. And oftentimes they are the reasons why you're not prepared to love. You're not actually prepared to have somebody in your life. You just want that companionship. But at the same time, are you prepared to give just as much as you get? Because for what a lot of us want or have wanted in a relationship, it was a lot expected of us as well. And oftentimes that's what a rubber meet the road, and you had that fork in the road that says, am I willing to commit like this? This ain't, I don't know. You know what I mean? This is what, I ain't read this part of the contract. You know what I'm saying? That's the part right there where it be a real fine letter that you really can't, it take you a whole hour to get through 3 paragraphs. Because that's the part right there where a lot of us don't understand is necessary for these relationships and marriages to go forth, right? And so are you prepared to love is a question. What's in the way of finding love? What's in the way of singles finding the love that they want? That's the whole thing, because when it comes to meeting somebody of quality, it's all good until that person meets all the checks on your list, or a good percentage to where you say, you know what, it may not get no better than this, so I can deal with this. Because that's the part. Everybody's like, look, I'm good. I'm gonna do me. Like, I don't have no expectations, whatever. Like, I just get what I get and, move on, whatever. Until that person starting to meet some check some boxes off your list. And all of a sudden you're like, you know what? This could be it. And now you starting to have emotion invested. And now the question is, do they have that investment in you also? Are they just as prepared? Were they ready to get to this point to where now feelings involved? Y'all start looking at each other differently. And now all of a sudden it's like, well, should we actually move forward, make adjustments for each other? If I do, but if the other person doesn't want to, does not, now I'm discouraged. You see what I'm saying? This is a lot. Are you prepared to love? What's in the way of you finding love? All right. So when it comes to these issues, a lot of times, if you look at the backside of it, if you look at a person who is prepared to love, a lot of the times the difference between them and somebody else who hadn't yet gotten to that point, guys, is that person who is prepared to love has a clear conscience. You know what I'm saying? What I mean by a clear conscience is you're not so much triggered by things because you can still hold that person, aside from, you can compartmentalize them from past situations and say, okay, well, even though this person did something, that doesn't automatically mean X, Y, and Z. it doesn't automatically mean it's the same thing as what so and so did in the past because this one thing happened, right? I saw some posts where a person say, "Hey, a man when he turned his phone down, face down, that means he cheating or he got something to hide." Right? That statement is clearly made from somebody who is not prepared to love, that just projecting the message that, hey, this one thing clearly just a blanket statement. You see it, he cheating, he got something to hide. No, no, it's not like that. Don't make sense. It don't go like that. But yet a person who's free of conscience when they're dating says, hey, listen, okay, I can ask them about that, but not be triggered about it if it was something that was on my mind. But at the same time, when I see it, that doesn't I'm not just going to automatically let my mind go to the place where it must be this because, Gerald back in the day, Clarence back in the day, he used to do this. And if he anything like Gerald or Clarence, he cheat. Like, no, listen, it's clear that you're looking through trauma glasses right now. You see what I'm saying? And so this is, like I said, once you get to a place where you are prepared to have somebody come into your life and you really are able to create and to build and multiply, right? Then a lot of the times you recognize that your conscience is free. Not to say that you don't have any expectations because you don't want your time wasted. At the very least, that's an expectation. But yet you still are free of conscience to where certain things don't trigger you so easily. Certain things aren't a connection to what happened 5 years ago that, I took 3 years off and now I'm back dating, I meet you, and then you do something that triggered me all the way back to 5 years prior. It happens all the time. I'm not laughing because it sounds, because it's actually happening, but I'm laughing because it sounds funny, but it's not funny. This is things that happen on a day-to-day basis where you have people that aren't aware that is your conscience actually clear when it comes to you dating? Are you prepared to have your clear conscience so when you see certain things, you don't tie it to people that don't even know each other? Man, don't even know. Woman don't even know back in the day, chick. And you talking about, see this, all y'all like this because, because see when I was back in 92, like, what? Man, listen, the whole generation you talking about 92. Like, nobody trying to hear that. But these are the things that I hear. These are the things that I hear as a relationship coach from some of the calls and I'm not calling nobody out, but yet, to be honest, you need to know that. You need to hear it. You need to be able to hear it come from somebody who deals with it and says, hey, listen, it's nothing to laugh at, but it is something to address. Because for those people, just as well as you guys on Instagram and you guys on YouTube right now, there are a lot of you that feel like, hey, it's something in the way. Like it's either something I'm not doing. Like, hey, listen, I'm attractive enough. I have people come to me and say, hey, listen, I feel like I'm attractive enough. I'm staying in shape. I'm making sure I'm being the best version of myself. I'm going out and trying to achieve a level of greatness. I'm not no scrub. I got my situation taken care of. But what is in the way? Like, it don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? And so this is where a person like me have to come in. And so while I'm not on sessions, when I'm not speaking to individuals individually, personally, now I get a chance to be able to express some of the feelings that I have when it comes to things that cross my table and cross my path. And so recognizing when you're on the other side, you'll be able to understand and see, you'll feel a sense of clarity of your conscience when you meet somebody. You're not automatically tying it into relationships in the past, right? Number two is you won't self-sabotage great situations. A lot of the times when it comes to relationships, there's a level of self-sabotaging that just goes on no matter what. It's almost like, because again, you're looking through trauma glasses, you're looking through hurt glasses. Your view on things is still based upon an emotional attachment to what happened in the past. It don't matter how many years you took off. Hey, and listen, I'm celibate now. I ain't been dating for 5 years. Okay, great. Right? That's all good. But now, because of where you are in your life, has your expectation changed to a point where it's harder for you to find somebody, and what you felt like was a dating ocean is now a dating pool, right? We talk about the dating pool, but it's a literal pool, all because now you're at a place where you're not actually accepting of somebody who is meeting moral standards and values and character and things like that. Now it's all about meeting what you feel like is the way that you should be loved, but not recognizing, as I said before, you can't tell a person what way they should be loved. And that's a lot of the times the give to the take. That's what it is when it comes to, okay, being understanding and accepting of the fact that a person is expecting for you to improve their quality of life. That's the bottom line. A woman is expecting a man to come in and bring benefit, improvement, leadership, quality, stability, improve the quality of life of myself and my children, and ultimately us together. A man is looking for a woman to improve his quality of life, period. When it comes to her nurturing him, her making sure he has enough strength and energy to go out and tackle the world and bring home the resources necessary to improve and build upon the kingdom, right? Making sure that the woman is taking care of the children and making sure they have that they're clean, they're in good health, that they're, taken care of, that he in his situation when he comes home is taken care of. And that doesn't mean that he's not doing things as well. Don't let me put that out there. That's not true. But at the same time, there's a balance. There's a give and take. There's an understanding between the two. And in order to get that, you have to be able to put yourself in a place where you're understanding of what that person needs to be loved. And a lot of times, this is what self-sabotages us, because when you are alone, when you are in a time frame of your life where you are you simmering, you molding, you right now you're ready to be pulled out and be selected to for somebody to have you, you have to be prepared, right? That's what's happening. You are being prepared. Period. Look, I know I'm using a lot of metaphors, but I hope y'all getting this, because in my mind, this is how I see it. You are actually being prepared. Just like I talk about, hey, you being in the oven, you cooking, you simmering, because you are being prepared to love. So self-sabotage is a lot of the times what gets in the way. And the third one is someone in your present won't pay for your past, pay for the cost of somebody in your past. Someone in your present won't pay for the cost of somebody in your past. Right. And so this is a lot of the things that people don't see when it comes to being prepared for that next relationship. Right. A lot of people are in a place where they say, hey, listen, my next relationship going to be my best relationship. Right. And in order to do that, there's a lot of give to the take as well. So when you're dealing with issues from your past, you're triggered by things in your past, you actually are looking at how a person you're dating today is connected to a person he or she did not know from your past, don't even know who this person is, but yeah, all of a sudden it's like they twins in your eyes. Look, that's disrespectful to them. And that makes them feel like you're not prepared for this. And in the blanket statement, I've been dealing with a lot. I've gone through a lot. But have you been treating those things? Have you actually been addressing those things? Have you actually been speaking to a professional? That is the question, because what you're asking for them is to give you understanding you probably wouldn't give them as well, and expect them to look at that as a fair deal. Right? That's the part right there. That what they say, that part is that you actually saying, okay, well, I want you to give me a deal that I probably wouldn't even give you, and expect to look at that as fair. Cool. All right, handshake. Like, no way. No way. But a lot of the times, this is what happens when you recognize this person isn't in the place, they're not prepared to love. They want love just like everybody does, but are they prepared? You can see it in the way the person talks. You can see in their demeanor. You can see it in their body language and the way that they face grew up when they talk about a person from the opposite sex. You know what I'm saying? And you look at it like, man, you know what? Like, you might have made a point or two, but you got to deal with that, bro. Hey, sis, you got to really kind of, sit down with somebody on that. And of course, nobody want to hear that, but those are the hard truths that we got to go through, right? And so here's the thing. Don't stop thinking that you healed just because you dated, you stopped dating for a while. All right. When it comes to just being in the single market, of course, people say, hey, I haven't found nobody of quality, but like I said earlier, what if you do find somebody of quality? That's the big if that don't nobody really talk about. Because everybody's like, oh, when I meet this right person, when I meet Mrs. Right, when I meet my queen, when I meet Mr. Right, right? This is when, hey, once they show and prove, like I said before, then I'll do my part. That's so crazy. That's so backwards, because it's what happened in the past where you were unsuccessful wasn't what you were doing. It was just who you was doing it with. A lot of times it's the identifying process. It's the identifying part that we all slip on because we feel like we know what we see. And oftentimes our eyes are deceiving us, right? Why? Because we don't clarify with questioning. We don't actually ask the questions that say, okay, well, hold on. You know what? I'm seeing this out of you. Like, forgive me if I'm wrong, but, it seems like this, can you explain this to me? Can you give me clarity? And the ball is now in their court. And what a lot of times happens now, and this is what I hear, I'm just breaking it down how it happens, is, well, I've done that claim. What if they don't talk? What if he or she don't say anything when I give them a chance to talk? What if they don't say anything? Well, right, then you can reinforce the fact that, hey, listen, you've given them a fair shot to speak and identify what was going on when you address said issue, whatever that may be. Right. I'm not giving anybody the license to be played with, have their time taken, and have somebody just ultimately say, you know what, I need for you to ask me 100 times and then I come around. No, we grown out here. So if I'm able to address something in a respectful and a polite way, then I expect you as an adult to respond, period. Or if you're not going to respond now, if you want some time to think about it, at least give me the benefit to say, let me think about it a little bit and we'll talk about it later. But without any of that, it's hard for me as a coach to say, hey, listen, well, just keep fighting, girl. Hey, bro, just keep holding on. I don't know. I'm going to say, hey, you can have some control of this situation by continuing to hold them accountable behind your actions. Because when you say, hey, listen, I'm asking you things, I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this. If I'm coming at you wrong, please let me know so I can adjust that part. Because ultimately, I just want answers. And I feel like I'm not wrong to ask for certain things. But if I'm asking in a way that's not receiving from you, then let me know that. If you want time to talk or think about it, let me know that. But don't just air me out and don't say anything and expect me to just stick around and continue to just badger you, only for you to just feel like, well, you almost was there. If you would have asked me 10 more, you asked me 99 times, but if you would have asked 100, then I would have like, nobody listen. Come on now. Don't do that. Don't act like that. And a lot of times that happens. So that's my solution to that. But you can't start thinking that you're healed just because you haven't dated in a while. This is a statement that you hear a lot. Well, I haven't dated in a while, so I just figured I'd get back out there. I haven't dated in a while, so you know what? I just felt like it was the right time for me to, the biological time click in and think I want children, I want a family, so I just decided to get back out there, right? Well, in the midst of that, you know that you still are going to be triggered by things. You still haven't dealt with certain traumas that you trying to suppress, right? This it happens every day. And last but not least, I just want to say, don't be ashamed to talk to a professional. All right, I'm a professional dating coach and a relationship coach, and I'm also a life coach as well. But that doesn't mean that everybody's going to feel like I'm their cup of tea. But if you do feel like, hey, listen, this man has some wisdom and it's something I can gather from what he's trying to say, and it might be useful and impactful in my life, then reach out to me. My website is relationshiphealing.co, relationshiphealing.co, not .com, chop that M off, relationshiphealing.co. And the reason why I say that is because, like I said, if I'm not your cup of tea, if you have somebody that you rock with, if that's God, hey, listen, you got to add somebody to that. That can be God and somebody in the physical realm that can help you identify what's going on in the physical realm while God's working on things in the spiritual, right? And at the same time, if like I said, if you feel like you need somebody to talk to, I'm here for you. My website is relationshiphealing.co. Don't be ashamed, because this is one of the things. It's not fear that hinders so many Black folks from getting therapy and speaking to somebody professionally. It's shame. It's shame. All right. I'm gonna say that it's shame. A lot of times we feel ashamed if we have to speak about it. It's almost like you coming out, you coming out of the abortion clinic, or somebody that's coming out of the clinic from getting some penicillin shots or something like that. You feel like, oh man, I got to have my hoodie on. I can't, you know what? Let me keep my mask on too. Like, all because you feel ashamed. You almost sprint into your car because you feel ashamed for anybody to see you going through that. And the same can be said when it comes to somebody finding out that you're dealing with a therapist, or you having somebody help you work through certain situations. Don't be ashamed, because that same shame is going to be the shame that keeps you stagnant and keep you in the same place you in. So all I'm just saying is, are you prepared to love? Fellas, ladies, this is an issue that I spoke on a lot of things when it comes to the problem, the pain that people feel behind the problem, the feeling of actually rectifying the problem and actually being on the other side and knowing what it looks like and actually what to do about it. All right. You can't just put it under the rug and suppress it. You got to speak to somebody professionally. You have to actually understand that just because you haven't been dating for a while doesn't mean that you healed. Just because you took time to yourself doesn't mean you took time to heal. And I just wanted to come on here this afternoon and just address those things and identify those things with y'all. And so, like I said, again, if I've been able to help you in any way, please share this post. You can click the arrow at the bottom of the screen, you guys know, or just save it and replay it while you're in the car. If you at the job and you keep your earphones in like I do, you know what I mean? You can play it back and just, meditate on some of these tips, marinate on some of these tips, because these are some of the things when it comes to the singles that I coach and the singles that I see out there that are really getting in the way. It's really getting in the way, man, when it comes to you actually meeting somebody, seeing them for who they are, being your true self without the fear of feeling that you're going to be taken advantage of, and actually identifying if the person you're dealing with is quality before it's too late, before you've invested too much of your time, your money, your resources, or your body, right? And with that being said, that'll bring you closer to what it is that you deserve and desire. That'll bring you closer to that person that you feel like will love you the right way, in a way that you feel is proper for you. And that's what it's all about. So it's too many people that speak about, hey, you know what, like this is what you do to get them, girl. Or, some of the guys is like, hey, man, this is what you do to not be a simp. This is what you do to actually, get women to be on your program, on your regimen, on your, on how you got things moving. But at the same time, at the end of the day, it's all about being together and staying together, especially in our community. So whatever I can do to help that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to keep coming on these lives. I'm going to keep reaching out to people. I'm going to keep doing interviews with other people within the relationship space like I've been doing. You can go check that out on my Instagram page. A lot of the relationship influencers, I have a connection with them. So we chop it up on topics all the time. When it comes to Tuesday night, it's on Facebook, and I'm going live on YouTube as well when it comes to the Male Translations podcast. Tomorrow, what's the topic for tomorrow? Actually, let me see. Oh, tomorrow we're gonna be talking about, me and Pastor Doja, we're gonna be talking about, does your pain choose your partners? Does your pain choose the things that you're going through? Does that actually choose your partners? A lot of times you hear people say, hey, listen, I've been through this experience, and this is why I keep being attracted to this type of person. And so I have to ask, as a relationship coach, and we're going to chop it up tomorrow night at 8 p.m. If you want to check us out it's going to be on the Male Translation page on Facebook and on the Male Translation page on YouTube. Does your pain choose your partners? We're going to chop that up tomorrow, because I feel like when it comes to what's in the way of people feeling like, hey, listen, I don't want to sift through all the trash. I want to get right to it and find that person that's right for me. You got to identify and address these situations. So it's your relationship coach, Clarence Brown. Like I said, go to the website, man. That's relationshiphealing.co. Let me see. Jeff got a question. Say, but the issue doesn't come up until the hurt person is triggered. I had to jump through hoops from my ex's past because she never got over hurt. We were well into marriage once I figured this out. And this is why, like I said, a lot of people are ashamed to address their issues and carry them into relationships, because certain things don't happen until that. And to your point, Jeff, certain things don't happen until you're well within the relationship or the marriage, depending on how quickly you guys develop and grow and move into that place of commitment and covenant, right? So what Jeff is talking about is just the fact that just because you're dating doesn't mean that you've dealt with your issues. You just haven't been triggered until something come up. Like, sometimes you don't recognize what difference you and a person have until you have kids, or until you get married, or until somebody loses a job, or until a family member dies and it takes them a long recovery process, and you happen to help be there for them and work through that process with them. These are life experiences that we all deal with. We just handle them differently. And I say that all the time. But with all of those things going on, the problem is how you're going to help deal with that situation. How you going to help that person? Are those things going to trigger you or make it harder for you to stay close and connected to your partner? And so that's what's going on right now. So I appreciate that, Jeff, bro. You're always showing love and support. So, guys, I'm going to get on up out of here. Like I said, I'm going to just put this website in the comment section. And guys, I know how it is on Facebook and YouTube. I'm a click off type of guy. But like I said, I hope I was able to give you some insight on what's some of the things that are in the way of finding love, especially on the single side of things. And like I said, ladies, I'm working on an online course right now that is going to help women to attract quality men. It's called Attract a Quality Man in 30 Days. Like I said, this past year, I've spoken to over 200 men and asked them, not just regular men, but guys that I felt like really had morals, character, honor, walking in their purpose and things like that. So I've decided to sit them down, ask them some questions about women and what it is that differentiates the women that they decide to date and actually marry, and the women that they just see as, the women that's cool to be with, but when it comes to commitment, like that's a whole nother story, right? So I wanted to, as a relationship coach, not only just be a voice to help men express that, but actually help women to attract the men that they deserve and desire, because a good 75% of my audience base and the people who support me are women. Because when it comes to a male perspective, women are, the largest consumer of relationship conversation. So there it is, relationship healing. That's in the comments. So please show your love and support by going over to my website, sign up for my email list, because those who are part of that email subscription list will get first access to the course and at discounted rates. And it should be popping within probably like a week. I want to give it a week and a half. You know what I mean? Got to make sure everything on the back end is lined up right, because you know how black folk get. If it ain't right, they're going to be quick to talk about, see, this is why I don't deal with black-owned businesses. So I can't have that. My reputation and brand is on the line. So I got to make sure that it's coming out and it's coming out right. But please show your love and support by going right over there, signing up for that email list. And I'm out, man. So I'll see y'all tomorrow night. Instagram, YouTube, and also Facebook. That's Male Translations. Does your pain choose your partners? That's both for the fellas. That's both for the women as well. A lot of times we choose our partners through the experiences that we're going through, but you don't recognize how that play a role in who you select as a partner to be with. So I'm out. I'll see y'all again. Appreciate y'all time. Please share this post. Please keep supporting, and peace. Show your love.